and welcome to the Sisters of the Shire Podcast. I'm Abby, and today we are joined by, of course, my beautiful co-host Ashley, and we have a wonderful guest with us today. We are so excited to have Kaia Kay with us. Everybody say hello. Hello, Kaia. So, you can introduce yourself if you'd like.
Well, hi, I'm Kaia Kay. I'm mainly on TikTok as the did you know, the Lord of the Rings did you know girl, where like most of my videos start with a Lord of the Rings movie clip and then it goes into me being like, did you know XYZ? So yeah,
We love it.
mainly what I'm known for.
We love it. We love it. We're so happy that you joined us today, and we hope that we can have a really fun episode getting to know you better and also getting to maybe like pick your brain about some Tolkien things and be able to share your knowledge with our followers. So thank you for coming. Yay!
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to start off this episode with some, like I said before, get to know you questions, kind of talk about you and how you got into this world of Tolkien, and also like how you got into being kind of like a viral person in the world of Middle-earth of Tolkien realm. So we're going to start off. Ashley, you got some questions for us.
I do.
Are you ready?
So I'm ready. I'm good. So, and it's funny how we say like how you got so into it. Cause like if I were to explain someone who wasn't in the Tolkien universe, like, oh my gosh, I'm having an interview with Kaia Kay. They'd be like, cool. Who is that? And same with like Don Marshall and like, you know, all these other huge names in like the Tolkien world. They're like,
Yeah.
But in the Tolkien universe, you are big, girlfriend. And so how did you, what caused you to make your first viral video? I think I saw it the other day on your Instagram. You're like, this was the one, like that made me big.
Yeah.
So what was the thought process there?
That was actually like me trying to pull a whole thing that my dad did so my dad introduced me to Tolkien. So I had sat down with my 5-year-old and I was like, we're going to try and watch Fellowship of the Ring. And so I found myself like every couple minutes being like, hey, buddy, did you know XYZ? And of course, he's 5. So he couldn't give a care at all. And I'm just like,
Right.
this would be a really good video. Like probably 10 people are going to see it, but it would still be funny. And I could say that I did it. And so then I like recorded the whole video that I did and I made like snippets of it. I think it was only like 40 seconds long. And then I uploaded it and it went nuts. Because then I remember the next day, me and my fiance were in the Walmart parking lot and I was like, babe, you will never guess how many views this video has. And she's like, well, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, it's a Lord of the Rings video. And she's like, oh. And I'm like, what was that for?
Cool.
She's like, so you're going viral for being a nerd. And I'm like, yeah, it's great.
Heck yes.
You're like, yes.
Yeah.
If there's anything to
any
go
other
viral
reason?
for, being
I think
nerdy.
that's a completely
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, I remember when I had first downloaded TikTok and I wanted to try being a content creator or whatever. And for a while, it was kind of like, the get ready with me stuff, the basic stuff that you see people do and like, go viral for. It wasn't working for me. But I was following a lot of the people in the Tolkien community. And I remember Don Marshall made a video and he was just like, find a niche, something that you really like, and then just make videos about it. And I was like, that's the exact video that I thought of whenever I was watching the movie with my son. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna see where it goes. And then it got like 2 million views in 24 hours.
Wow. That's amazing.
Whoa.
It's so funny that you started with the inspiration from your kid, because that's kind of how our podcast was born as well. I'm not sure how much you know about our origin story, but I was literally, I mean, we grew up together. We've always loved Lord of the Rings. We're cousins. We were like born during that perfect time where like Lord of the Rings was coming out and Harry Potter was coming out, and like it was Star Wars, like it was all just this beautiful nerdum universe that we grew up in. And then, you know, that kind of died off. We became moms and all that stuff. And my daughter was wanting to go to sleep, but she wanted me in the room with her. And so I'm like, I'm going to read her a book that I want to read. And how about the Silmarillion? Because that's a book I've always wanted to read, but never had the time to like sit down and read it. And it won't like keep her awake. You know, it won't like, you know, keep her active, and it'll just bore her to sleep. And then the more I read it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really wish I had someone to bounce these ideas off of. And I'm like, who better than Abby? And so that's kind of how our podcast was born. So that's funny how the children in our lives.
That's hilarious, because I like how I started, because I was like doing the absolute bare minimum, showing him the Fellowship of the Ring movie, and then you just chucked your kid into the deep end with the Silmarillion.
She wasn't paying attention to it. She was like maybe 3 at the time. So I mean, but
you start the book.
I start to remember stuff.
You start the book and you're like, and Lizzie, there will be a quiz at the end. Let's begin. Like, let's go.
Take notes. Like, get your notebook, get your crayons, start writing.
Yeah.
Get your crayons.
Yeah. All of these names and what they mean.
Yeah.
But it's funny though, because I've actually done the whole I've done the whole like, Lizzie, did you know, like during the movies exactly that you did? So I feel that on so many levels.
But is your child susceptible to it?
Sorry,
is your child like, oh, Mom?
Yeah.
Does your child do that? Like, Mom,
not Lord of the Rings again.
Or is it like, yeah.
Sometimes he'll like he'll listen to me ramble or whatever. It's something that he's starting to get into, but it's definitely one of more of those things where if he sees something Lord of the Rings, like he knows, he can point it out now, and then he'll be like, Mom, look, watch this. Because there'll be a whole bunch of times he'll be watching his tablet, and then it'll have something that references Lord of the Rings. And then he'll be like, Mom, come here, come watch this. And he's like, wait for it. And then the scene comes up, and it's like this, the most obscure little reference to Lord of the Rings. And he's like, see, it's Lord of the Rings. And I'm like,
yeah, buddy.
I've never felt more proud in my entire life.
Yes.
And it's just the sweetest thing. And it's even to the point where, like last Halloween, me and my fiance were asking him, like, you know, what do you want to be for Halloween? And he's like, I want to be Sauron because Mommy likes Sauron. And I'm like, okay.
I have to know, did he?
That's amazing. Was he Sauron?
Did he do it?
No. He
No,
went. No, I was Sauron, but he went as Freddy Fazbear.
Hey, so you know what? That's pretty
amazing.
cute. That's pretty cute. We had at my children's school, we just had a courageous book character day, and I was going in to do something else at the school, and I saw the kids walking out with all their fun costumes on, like they had, you know, like some were Harry Potter, some were Dog Man, and you know, stuff like that. But one kid in first grade was Frodo. I was like, I pointed him out. I'm like, oh, is that Frodo Baggins? And he looked at me like, you know who I am? I was like, yeah, I do. That's Frodo Baggins right there. And he's like, oh, it like made his day. I'm like, Angel.
That's the cutest thing ever.
It was pretty good.
So cute, because you know none of his friends got the reference at all.
Exactly.
And then just seeing an adult get him, that probably made his whole day.
He was like,
I'm like, I've done that at Halloween things to like the point of almost creepy. Like I'm that line of like, hey, like just a little too far. But just because I'm so excited that a younger generation thinks it's cool enough. You know what? For Halloween, I want to be Gimli, or I want to be, I saw Tariel the other day. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So I was showing Lizzie the reel that you made, just because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is totally us too. Of it's like from the Minions quote, like banana or whatever.
Yeah.
She thought that was so funny, but I'm like, but it's so true, Lizzie, because yeah, we'll do random things and she'd be like, yeah, because, you know, Mom, Galadriel's older than the moon. I'm like, that is right, girlfriend. Like,
Yeah, you're so smart, and you make me so proud.
so smart. Exactly. Well, I love that. So how have you been slowly introducing your nerddom? Because it's a hard line of like, you want them to appreciate it, but also like, if you're bored with this, I might give you up for adoption because it is the coolest thing ever. So like, I think like, at least for me, like I started with Harry Potter, like that was my in. Like, okay, if you can watch all the Harry Potter movies and stuff like that, I feel like we're getting close to Lord of the Rings. So like watching the like Lord of the Beans, like the Veggie Tales, or finding like the random like comic book ones that are more like kid friendly. Like, do you have like an in that you use with your kid?
No, I really just sat him down in front of the TV. We watched the movies together. And of course, he's a little kid, so he loved the fight scenes. Like the Hobbit
Yeah.
movies are his favorite because they have really
Heck
great fight
yes.
scenes. And then like he'll ask me certain questions about certain characters in the movies. And it'll be like a question pertaining to what the character did in the movie. And then I'll be like, well, actually, this is how the story actually went. And then after I go on that ramble, he'll ask more questions. And then I'm just like, this is amazing. Because there was one Saturday,
Play cool.
he asked about Gandalf. And then that led me into explaining how Gandalf is a Maya, and then how Sauron is like Gandalf. And he's like, so was Sauron like an angel? And I was like, yes. But then this guy Morgoth came along and he's like, who's Morgoth? And I'm like, kind of like, so I compared it to like Thor and Loki, or like Palpatine and Anakin, because he was already
Yes.
semi into Star Wars. And he's just like, oh, okay. And I'm like, this is great.
He gets it.
He gets it.
I love that so much.
So I have a question for you about kind of like that, getting into the experience of Tolkien with your child, but how were you introduced to Tolkien? Like when you were a child, what was your first like experience with Tolkien, or like, did you, stumble upon it in your public library or your school library? Because that's kind of how my experience was the movies were coming out and all that stuff, and I love them. And then my school librarian was like, here you go. And I'm like, okay. And I like,
Do you know it's based on a book?
What? But how were you introduced when you were, maybe your kid's age, like, or however old you were when you were introduced into that world? How did you come about that?
My dad got me into Lord of the Rings. I forget if it's like I think it's the Rankin and Bass Hobbit animated movie. Like he sat me down and we watched that, and I loved it. That was my favorite movie for the longest time. And then he's like,
Yes.
well, it's based on a book. Do you want to read the book? And I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? And then the Lord of the Rings movies came out. And I had no idea Lord of the Rings books even existed, but I was like 5, 6 when the first movie came out. And of course, we went to the premiere of every single one of them. And it wasn't until
Midnight showings.
Return of the King it wasn't until Return of the King where I remember, I don't know what it was, but I just fell head over heels for Legolas. And it wasn't until Return of the King that happened. You'd think it happened in the Fellowship. But then I was like,
Two towers.
Is this like The Hobbit? Does this also have a book? And my dad was like, yes. And I was like, is he in this book? My dad is like, yes. And I'm like, amazing. Where is this book? And so then I read the book.
How do I get him more?
Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah. Thanks, my
That's
dad.
amazing. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. So
I think
when
it's
you
so
were
funny
younger,
that the Hobbit book was. Abby and I talk over each other all the time.
Go for it.
It's a problem we have. I think it's so funny that the Hobbit book is so much older than like we realize that our dads grew up with it. Because my dad did a similar thing where the movie started coming out, and I think we were just like wandering through Barnes and Noble, and he saw The Hobbit, and he's like, "Hey, I read this book when I was, younger. Did you know that this whole thing was based off of this one book?" And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, do you want to like read it or something?" And he was, "Sure." But like the fact that he as a little kid might have read it, or, a younger man, I don't know. But it's so funny to me that was just like, oh, that old thing, that's coming back.
It's so
Such
good.
a mind warp.
My dad
go ahead, Abby.
is not that way. So I said my dad was not that way at all. English is not his first language, and so he was not like big on stuff like that. So he, I had to come into it on my own, but I did it. So along those lines of getting into it when you were little and things like that, and coming into it again as an adult. I mean, I don't know if you were like us, where you kind of had like your teenage, maybe early 20s, where you loved it, but it wasn't, forefront of your brain as much. But what is your favorite memory, I would say, associated with either when you were a kid with Tolkien, or a memory that you have from like maybe from your going viral with all your videos? What's like a favorite memory that you can associate with Middle Earth and the world of Tolkien?
Probably my discovery of the Silmarillion, because it was in high school that I discovered this. Well, my dad showed me the Silmarillion, because I still loved Lord of the Rings. Like, if you had asked me in high school what my favorite movie was, it was Lord of the Rings every single time. But it wasn't like something that I was reading as often as I do now.
Right.
But I was getting super into history. I was one of those little girls on the spectrum who was like obsessing over the Tudors and like medieval era. And my dad was just like, "Well, you still like Lord of the Rings, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, you're really into history. If you still like Lord of the Rings, Tolkien wrote another book called the Silmarillion, and it's basically like a Middle Earth history book." And I was like, "Okay." And so then I tried reading it, and obviously it's a hard read. So then I did what my little ADHD brain does, and I'm just like, well, let me think of my favorite characters from the Lord of the Rings, and then I'll just go back to the index, and what my thought process is I would find a character that I absolutely loved, go to the index, find the page, first page they're mentioned on, go to that page, and then start from the beginning of that chapter, and then just read through and then do it again until I run out of page numbers. And so that's how I got through the Silmarillion the first time. And
That is
then
amazing.
I put it down. Yeah. And then I put it down, and I'm like, that was a lot, because it took me probably 6, 9 months to get through.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then I think like a year later, I picked it back up and I did it from the beginning, because I was like, I want to see if I can do this from the beginning. And I did, and it was amazing. And then my dad introduced me to the unfinished tales, and I'm like, okay, so I got to go through the Silmarillion thing again, where I went back to the index, I found the characters that I liked, and then I read the beginning of that chapter. And so,
Yes.
That is amazing. I never thought about doing it like that, but I like it, because it's more applicable to you, because it's more in your brain more.
Yeah. And the way I see it with the Silmarillion, it's like a whole bunch of stories that you could really start from any chapter in the Silmarillion,
right?
And it would eventually all piece back together. Just at least in the Valaquinta, like if you are in the Quinta Silmarillion, the Valaquinta and the Ainu Lindale, that stuff that you can't read that and then just jump into the rest of it. So.
Yeah.
True.
That's amazing. I love that.
But
I love that so
much. That's not how my brain works. And so just hearing how you did it, I was like, my brain, it's melting. Oh no. like I don't know how that would work.
Need the
We're in
context.
so our first season of our podcast was all the Silmarillion, and now we're in the Unfinished Tales. And so it's kind of nice doing it in a way where like the Unfinished Tales, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. But this is giving me a little bit more context of like understanding the full picture of like getting it all in my brain. But yeah, like we say in our podcast, this is not an easy book. It is basically a history textbook, like you were talking about. And it's also worded in a way where I make the joke of like, did you really have to say it like that? Could we like maybe made a little easier? Did we have to add like 10 words to that sentence that did not need to be there? Like it's a little intense, but that's
I'm
crazy
always
how you got
surprised
through
with
it.
the amount of corrections word suggests.
Yeah. Perhaps.
I love that.
Speaking of characters, because you were talking about that's how you got through the Silmarillion. We've got some questions about characters. I'll ask some and then Ashley will, but we have to know. This is a favorite question of ours. Which character, and it can be out of the Silmarillion, it could be Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, but which character do you want to be, but which character are you actually more like? So.
Interesting. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
A very good question.
I feel like it's a differentiation, right? Because like
probably
yeah.
That's such a hard question.
I already thought of one for you, but I can't remember her name exactly. Oh man, that's gonna bother me.
I'd say if I want to be one, probably Galadriel. Probably her. But the one I
The
probably
queen.
am most like, yeah. The one that I'm probably most like, and it has to be in the Silmarillion.
No, it could be
any legendary.
Any Tolkien. Any
Okay.
Tolkien.
I really want to say that I'm probably more like Éowyn, but really, I'm probably more. So there's this. Have you guys read the Lost Tales, the book of the Lost Tales?
Not yet. We're getting there, but I understand the concept of it.
So there is two named Maya that aren't in the canon lore, I guess. They weren't put into the Silmarillion. They were back when it was like a draft. But Dave the Noldo reminded me of her because I used to love her. But her name is called, I think it's Messiah. Messiah, I don't know.
Okay.
But she has a brother named Makar. And they are, I don't want to call them violent, but their first answer to anything is fighting. And they live in Valinor, a little ways away from the halls of Mandos. And literally their hall is like a giant fighting rink. Like Tolkien will go there to fight, but he won't hang out. He won't like stay there for long periods of time because they are absolutely insufferable. And none of the Valar will go and hang out with them either because all they want to do is fight. And I'm like, yeah, that if like I'm typically calm in a situation, but when I get pissed off, like when like you do my friend wrong or you go after my kid, it's immediate, like, starting the engines, like I'm coming after you.
Yeah.
So, and even
That's
like
amazing.
Even online when people want to be like a smart, want to be mean or vulgar or just weird in the comments, my first reaction is to embarrass them or
I
start
love that
backing.
though. It's all about, it's not just being a jerk to be a jerk. You're defending someone. It's completely valid.
I feel like we need to make like merch or something that
Yeah.
has them on it, or like
Yeah.
their name or something that's like so and so. What was it? What was her name? The brother and sister. They Messiah,
I think it's pronounced
Makar and
Kind of
Messiah.
sounds like
Messiah,
Makar
Artemis
and
and
Messiah.
Apollo.
Jim.
Kinda.
I think that's how you pronounce
Yeah.
it.
I like it.
Oh,
You need like a
There's
you need
not
like
enough
a
Tolkien merch out there. There's not enough.
like a fun like they're like they have like a UFC like fighting gym, but it's like just their like logo of them.
Yes.
That would be really good. Well,
Yes.
thanks
I
for
like
like jumping in with an answer that taught us
Yes.
something cool.
That's so funny.
We didn't know that. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
for
So,
sure.
look at her. Look at her dropping
Haven't gotten there
knowledge.
yet. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The first one I thought of for you, and it's mainly because you have your red hair, at least, but it's also from like as much as I could know you from your reels, which I feel like you kind of can know a little bit about people. But Aryan, the fire Maiar lady, I thought that was one for you too.
Oh, I love her. Yes,
Oh.
I love her. She's in like my top 5 for my favorite Lord of the Rings girls. So,
That's
I love that.
awesome.
And she's also kind of got like a
Um,
"don't mess with me" vibe too. So that's what I thought of for you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you
There's
have
some
another
other
question? I'm
character
sorry.
questions actually, if you wanna ask those. Some other character questions.
Okay. So you know the whole vibe of like we had to make our own because it's not exactly appropriate, but like who would you kill, who would you love, and who would you
Marry. That's
so
the like
we made our own version.
you know, that thing.
Yeah. So we made our own version. So who would you want to have a pint at the Green Dragon with? Who would you want to go into battle with? And who would you sail to the Undying Lands with? In the Tolkien universe.
Okay. So
Yes.
the pint I'd have with Gimli, the person I'd go to battle with, probably
A good one.
Aragorn, or Eladin and Elrohir, maybe them. And then it wouldn't be possible for him, but if I could spend the rest of eternity with anyone, it would be Sauron.
He
like, oh,
makes a comeback. So would you want him still evil, though, is my question.
I could fix him.
You gotta do the whole
fix him, I know
Daddy, I love him.
I could fix
Yes.
I could fix him.
He'd be different from me.
So
Oh
I'm
my
curious,
gosh.
just
Top
I mean,
answer.
while we're talking about Sauron, that's a strong answer. What did you think of Rings of Power Sauron? What did you think of that version of him? Which one?
Which one?
Which one?
Because yeah, Halbrand and Anatar are very different. You're right. You're right.
Which one?
So I guess Halbrand.
Yeah. Halbrand, they did a really good job on making him like that narcissistic type of evil. I don't know if it was the way for everyone else, but like at the beginning, whenever he meets Galadriel and he's like the tides of fate are flowing, I'm like,
You knew.
She clocked it early.
that's Sauron. And then Disa comes in and I'm like, I had an inkling, but then I saw Disa and I was like, maybe she's Sauron. So it went back and forth, and then when they did the whole reveal, I was like,
So
I knew
good.
it. And
So
that
well
reveal
done.
was so good, so good.
And
The
when you
fact
think
that
of
all
Loved
of
it.
these
Yeah,
Tolkien
but I
nerds that
think
knew
I was really happy with him.
like knew so much were still surprised was like I mean, kudos to the story people there.
Yeah.
So what did you think of Anatar then? Yeah.
Yeah, they did a really good job at throwing him off. I loved Anatar. Oh my God, I loved Anatar. I was so happy that they were able to include him. And oh my God, when I tell you, when they did the name drop for Anatar and they did the whole big reveal, I was like, oh my God, they're going to do it. And I was on the edge of my seat up until he was like, when Celebrimbor was like, "What am I to call you?" and he just says Anatar, I was screaming.
He said it. He said
I was
it.
like, "Oh my God, they were able to use the name." Exactly. I was so excited, and like I did a review of the trailer, and when they showed like blonde Charlie Vickers, I was like,
"It's the pretty version. It has to be Anatar.
They're going to be able to do Anatar." But then I was like, are they going to be? Yeah, but I was like, are they going to be able to do the name? Because the name is only mentioned in the Silmarillion. They don't have rights to the Silmarillion. And then when they did it, I was like, I was screaming.
That was pretty great for all like
so I have to know
lore,
which one's hotter
to
you, Halbrand or Anatar? Which one are you taking to the Undying Lands?
Honestly, see, it would be neither of them. It would be the redheaded Myron from the very first episode where I forget what the actor's name was, but when they had original Sauron and I loved that they went with the red hair because I don't think it's ever mentioned that Myron had red hair, but it's always been like a fanfic semi non-canon thing that he has red hair. And they decided to go with it.
And then they stabbed him a bunch.
I like it.
So probably that one.
And then they stabbed him a bunch. That was pretty. We were talking about, because we were also mentioning that my background, because we're going to do a video version of this so everyone can see our backgrounds. Mine's pretty sad. I mean, you can kind of see there's more fun stuff over there. There's some more stuff over there. But I know that Ashley and you have really fun backgrounds that I can see a lot of fun Tolkien items. So our question for you is, what is an item in your collection that you are the most proud of?
Show and tell.
That I'm most proud of. Oh my.
Or that's your favorite.
So really, the thing that I'm probably the most proud of, oh my God, that's a hard question. Probably the thing that is probably my favorite is I have a little USB stick that has my dad reading The Lord of the Rings. And so he passed like 7 years ago. So yeah,
that's my favorite. That's amazing.
You can't top that.
No, it's okay.
That's so great.
Yeah. No, you really can't. And then like, I don't know if you can see it. It's like, that thing right there. Those are his audiobooks that he used to listen to fall asleep. And my sister just gave me those because she found them in her storage.
Oh,
so I just got to bring those
That is
home.
amazing.
That's great.
So
that's a good one.
That's amazing.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's something no one else can have in their collection.
Yeah.
And then what is a holy grail item for you, for your collection? What is something that you're like, someday I might have that?
Holy grail item. Probably one of the signed Tolkien books.
Sure.
You know, the ones that are like $14,000.
Yeah. Crazy.
On like a rare
you never
book
know,
website. So yeah, definitely one of those. Like if I would ever win, yeah, but like if I would ever win the lottery, I wouldn't tell anyone, but there would be signs, and that book would be one of them.
You never know, like thrifting and stuff. Like Abby's found random, really cool stuff that's worth like money that just, grandma just gave away. You never know. It could happen.
Oh my God. That would be such a find if I were to find like an original signed copy of like Lord of the Rings.
I think
or The
those would
Hobbit.
be finding like
That'd be amazing.
maybe in like England thrift stores. I don't know how many would be here, but if like we were thrifting in
England,
like England, then maybe.
Oh yeah.
I have.
Yeah. I know there are 2 signed books in Southern Florida, but they're like $14,000. So yeah, that's how I know about that because I looked it up.
Oh man, you have actually a really cool. I'm like looking at all the stuff on your shelf.
I know. Ooh.
What's like the poster behind that shelf right there? Is it a poster?
Oh, that's actually like, yeah, it's a poster. It's a like a Hobbit movie poster. And I couldn't find anywhere else to put it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to put it on the inside of that shelf.
Is that Galadriel in that poster?
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's the one with, there's Galadriel, Gandalf, Elrond, and
where they come in all cool and I feel like they need to have I feel like they need to have theme music when they're all coming in like different directions in that scene where I'm like, yes, power team.
That's exactly what it is.
Forces united.
Yeah. We asked this question to another guest that we had on, but we talked about you like kind of going viral for some videos that you had. Like I would say if we were to name your kind of videos, it'd be like, did you know videos, like those that's your kind of, vibe, I feel. So you've kind of gone viral for talking about the difference between the books and the movies, or maybe like explaining deeper meanings of some parts of the movies that are correlated more to the books that people don't get to see in the movies, but like is happening in the back of your brain. You're like, this is actually what's happening. So do you have like a favorite deep dive or a favorite fact that you love? Like that's your favorite thing to bring up, like if you were watching with a friend or somebody who's never watched Lord of the Rings before. What's one of your favorite? You could be more than one if you have one, but your favorite kind of fact or deep dive that you love to mention during that.
So for the Lord of the Rings, like Lord of the Rings movies, my favorite is probably how in the books, Sauron isn't described as like this big fiery eye. He actually has a body. Like he is more than likely physically complete again. He's just like super weak. And then for The Hobbit, I actually just made a video about this, but like in The Hobbit, they allude to the Witch King of Angmar falling and being buried in a tomb, and then all 9 being buried in that same tomb. And I'm like, no, the Nazgul didn't die because they couldn't be killed. There's a whole prophecy on it. The Witch King never died. He was never caught. He never fell. But actually, when the siege of Angmar happened, and I forget how to pronounce his name. I think it's like Aernor or something, went to chase the Witch King. Glorfindel was just like, no, his doom is still far off, and not by the hand of man shall he fall. And so that's my favorite thing, to be like, no, exactly. Like, no, he's not dead. He couldn't get killed. And that's why Tom Bombadil is so important in the Lord of the Rings. Because again, like Merry didn't get those daggers from Galadriel. He got them from Tom Bombadil. And that's why Tom Bombadil is so important.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We got a little bit of that in the like the in-between book at the end of the Silmarillion. I forgot what it's like, of the Rings of Power in the Third Age, that like last little section where you get that little bit of like snippets. I wonder if, and the cool thing I like about the books, the movies, is that like, it's the stuff that could have happened. Like, they're like, oh, like Arwen was only in like 2 sentences in the Lord of the Rings. You don't know that. Maybe she was there. Like, he didn't write everything. And so there's things that like, yeah, he got it wrong, but like maybe they were pretending to be dead. Maybe like these like other alternate theories that like, you don't know. But I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm just saying like,
Mostly dead.
technically they were not gonna. He was mostly dead. But like, but stop breathing, Chips. Like, stop laughing. It's not funny. We're supposed to be dead. Like,
they're like giggling in the tomb. Like
can you just imagine though? Like, yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. There was someone who commented on my video on the Witch King being like, you know, they can't fly. So after the Ford of Bruinen, they had to walk back to Mordor. Can you imagine what that conversation between them was like? Like, do you think the insurance is going to cover these horses?
I love that so much.
You think they got does anybody got good snacks? Gas station snacks? Anyone? No? Ah, man. Well... Yeah.
Like I told y'all, we have to go in that.
I love to think about like hypotheticals. Yeah, like what was that conversation like?
I know. We love humanizing like some characters that don't get a lot of backstory or a lot of like page time, as we call it. So like we talk about, you know, the orcs that help Sauron and Morgoth all the time, like how they're always like, I need you to do this for me, and they're like have little clipboards and they're like, okay, we need to do this today, everyone, and then like we need to check this off for Morgoth today, like he needs to get his he needs to redecorate this room in his new lair, we're gonna do this. Like we love like giving them, who don't get backstories but they're mentioned a little bit of having a job, and we're like, we're going to let them have time to shine. That's one of our favorite things.
Yeah.
We
just have little meetings in the morning.
Like, we got new uniforms
in
today,
one of
guys.
those moods today, guys. Be on your guard.
Yeah.
Who's got the Balrog lately?
Yeah, it was Jerry's turn. Jerry's no longer here with us. Okay, now it's Tom's turn. He's next on the list. So, speaking of like the other things you were the Easter eggs and things you were talking about, how they like didn't really add into it. What are the things, talking about Rings of Power, as they're trying to bring more, you know, like lore into it, and you mentioned that you love that they said the name Anatar, like that's kind of a deep cut for people who really know, like, oh my gosh, like they actually said it. What were your favorite kind of like, other than the Anatar part, what were the other things that you're like, oh my gosh, they actually brought that in, or they got that right, or, you know, something that you were excited about with the Rings of Power show?
Something like off the top of my head, something that comes to mind about it is like there's like the costume design for Galadriel when they were going it's in the second season. I forget where they're going, but it's her, Rian, Elrond, and like the 2 other elves, and they go into the Barrow Downs, and you see Galadriel has like a crown of like a braided crown. And in the books, it said that whenever she does athletic feats, she would always wear her hair in a braided crown. And when I saw that, I was like,
did it right!
Wow.
I love that. They included it. But it was the only time they did it.
Your brain is amazing. Yay! You can remember all these tiny little details and be so excited and be like, they remember that. And to me, I'm like, her hair looks great. Like, no correlation in my brain of like how they did. Like, wow, you got an amazing brain. I'm very jealous.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Are there any
What
other
were you
things you
gonna say?
love, like the Tom Bombadil scenes, or anything like that that you really enjoyed? Some oh no, that name lost in my brain. Oh no,
Give us clues.
the island city, the island
Numenor.
city, Numenor. Yeah, anything like
Numenor.
that you were like,
I so like with
see,
Oh,
this
Numenor
is
and
what we
Tom
like to
I
hear
saw
Bombadil,
your
I was
too.
facial
really
expression when she said
disappointed.
Tom
It
Bombadil.
wasn't how I thought it was gonna be because yeah, they just I was not happy with him because they just made him so ominous and melodramatic, and like he pushed Gandalf to make his choice, and that's not what Tom Bombadil does. It's not what he's about. He like gives you riddles until you figure it out on your own. You make the choice. He doesn't do anything other than like, make you question it. That's about it. And they just made him too dark and like too worrisome when in the books he's the complete opposite. He's just like, well, I was here before everything else was, and I'll be here when everything else isn't. So this is your problem. You got to figure this out. It ain't on me. So, and I feel like they could have made him like a little more
Whimsical.
jolly in his singing, because he would only sing like, yeah, whimsical, because they had him singing like an old man in his garden
Yeah,
when really he should be
Doesn't he
skipping
have
like a
yellow
gnome.
boots
that's
on or
true.
something? I
So
wanted to see those. Like,
Mhm.
wee, like him, like being all happy.
They were yellow-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you see his yellow boots in one scene. Yeah, they were yellow-ish,
Come
and
on,
they're
the
only in one
Um,
elements.
scene.
It's
So
funny. Did you ever listen to the
yeah,
audiobook versions of the Lord of the Rings? Okay, so that guy singing the Tom Bombadil
yes,
song, it gets stuck in your head like immediately. Like I see your point. Like that didn't happen with the Rings of Power version of Tom Bombadil. Like it just wasn't quite as whimsical, as jolly. I feel like they had some of
yeah.
his like cryptic kind of messing with you vibe when he's like, "Are you here with someone?" He's like, I'm here with you. Like that. I felt like they got that part right. I thought that part was very like on point for him. But yeah, the jolly, the whimsical, he was a little too serious. I could definitely see that. I agree.
And we love opinions on both sides. It doesn't
Yeah.
always have to be good opinions. It can be like,
Yes.
But I
I had
think
some thoughts on this, and that's okay. We like it all.
Yeah.
And also we have some thoughts of like, really? Did that really have to do that? Or like, oh, in the Rings of Power. So it's all good. But I just look at it and say, it's all so beautiful. I like looking at it with my eyes.
yeah,
I
And
mean,
something.
it is. It is. See, with me, I think that they did a really good job on the small stuff, but the big stuff, like the broad stuff, like Tom Bombadil or Numenor, it's disappointing. But then the small stuff, it's great because they got Anatar, they got like the creation of the rings, even though they're in the wrong order. Um, they got how the faithful would worship like the Valar, because like there's that one scene where they're in that temple, and I personally think it's Nienna, but there are some people who will say it's Eowyn, but they're like praying to one of the Valar, and it's just
yes.
like, oh, look at that. And then of course Kemen and his gang come and desecrate the
Yeah.
temple, which is what a lot of the non-faithful
We
did.
call him the
Yeah,
stupid
we're
son and the annoying girl on our podcast.
ugh. There was
Oh,
a point where
And
I
it's
was
no
like,
offense to the actors. If anything, it's because
can't
they're
stand
doing
them.
so good. Like it's only you're doing
Mhm.
too good of a job that you have this nickname name. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I feel like I was telling Ashley when we were watching, we do a review of the Rings of Power, that the daughter of Elendil, that just makes my eye twitch. I'm like, she could do something good, but it will not redeem her. I will never forgive. Like, I do not forgive her.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Exactly. It's just like
oh my
that.
goodness.
We were.
Do you have any?
We were predicting what would be the most. Oh, sorry. We were predicting what would be the most. What's the word? Satisfying death for him. We're like, is it by an ent? Is it by Beric drop kicking his face? What would be the most satisfying death?
I don't know. See, I'm the one who's of that theory that I think Kemen's going to turn into the witch, not the Witch King, the Mouth of Sauron.
Ooh.
So it's hard for me to picture a death.
That's a cool theory.
I'm here for it.
That's a cool theory.
I like it.
What are your predictions for season 3 of Rings of Power?
Yes.
What do you feel like they're going to...
They have a lot of loose ends to tie up.
I know.
They do. They got so much. I really hope. I'm really hoping that season 3 is going to be very Numenor heavy. Like a lot of flashbacks, a lot of what was going on, like a lot more of what was going on when we see all the scenes in Eregion. And then I hope it ends with our Farazan capturing Anatar or Hellbrand, whoever they decide to make him, and then bringing him back to Numenor. And then season 4 could be all about the Akalabath. So that's what I'm hoping. It's probably not going to happen.
I like it.
One
I
can
like
hope.
it.
Really hoping.
That was one of my, there was a scene where, they see Elendil riding away and they see smoke in the distance. And obviously it was from the culling or whatever they're calling it. Like I relate it to the losing of the firstborn and the Prince of Egypt or whatever, like this, the gathering of the unfaithful or whatever. But I was like, it's too early to start the burning of the people, right? Like we're not there yet. But I had that thought, are we burning people now? We're starting early?
Yeah.
Where is the orc with the clipboard?
Yeah,
where's the orc with the clipboard that's like, guys, too early, guys.
Exactly.
We can't do this right now. Like we're jumping ahead of schedule. We can't do this.
Yeah. We're gonna have so
okay,
much.
So definitely Numenor, the whole Anatar taking over but not taking over thing. They did really well with how cunning he is and how serial killery he is with the manipulation. I have this theory that the more you don't blink, the more evil you are in your scene, because he does not blink at all during his scenes. Yeah. Right. So yeah, I totally don't care for that for that part. Yeah. Is there any other?
Yeah. Yeah, I love Charlie Vickers' portrayal of
Sauron
so well.
I love that they keep it with the book kind of he's not this beat 'em up scary huge person where fighting or swords or things like that is his jam. It's I'm going to sneak into your brain and live there for a little bit and be super cunning and the sly kind of that kind of villain. And I think he does that so well. To see the physical representation of him doing that in the Rings of Power, you're ugh. I feel weird. He makes me feel ugh. I don't know. But he doesn't look creepy. He's not physically hurting. I mean, he does kind of hurt Celebrimbor, but he's not like physically like, you know, yeah, he's not physically like, you know, this big warlord kind of scary villain. He's like, I'm gonna be your best friend, and then I'm gonna ruin your life. So he does that so well.
That scene, look at what you've done to yourself. That part, I was like,
I know. Hold on, Ashley will come back. There she is.
Exactly.
Sorry, my internet sucks.
Like what we.
What other storylines are you looking forward to? Oh, sorry. I want to hear more.
Yeah.
Of what other storylines you're looking forward to.
I'm definitely looking forward to the elves and then the founding of Rivendell. So I'm curious if they're gonna like speed that up in season 3, and then the dwarves. I was very confused with where they left that off, because it's like, how are you going to recover from that? Because you and like 2 other people now know that there is this fire demon under your mountain.
Yeah.
Are you just
the rocks totally killed him. Like it's gone. It's fine.
Yeah, 100%, absolutely. But then
what the heck did that come from?
And it's like, okay, this brother.
We're getting family reunions left and right.
Yeah. So I guess we'll find out. Yeah, for real.
Speaking of characters that you don't know, like what's going to happen to them, if you could bring back one character from any of the books who you felt maybe was wronged in their death, I've got a few of those in my brain. Or who's the one character that had died maybe too early or something like that you're like, I would bring them back.
I don't know about too early, because he was around for quite a bit. Probably either Finrod, or Fingolfin.
We literally call Finrod Captain Balerion in our podcast because we feel like he's the Captain America of the group. But you can Captain America, it's Captain Balerion.
Yeah.
So. And then we said Fëanor was Tony Stark. We had like names for everyone.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my God. Lord of the Rings Adventures.
Thor was Thor, so it kind of broke a little bit, but yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
We were talking about that. Do you feel like some of the bigger name characters, like the ones you just mentioned, or for me it was like Bellic and stuff like that, was like, do you kind of feel like their deaths were a little like, they could have been more epic? Personally, for me, their storylines were so cool, their characters were so cool, and then how they unfortunately died was like, oh, darn. like Bellic killed me. That one hurt me. I was like...
No, I think...
Yeah.
Oh my God. See, with Finrod and Fingolfin, I think that their deaths were beautiful. Like, they were the deaths that they would have gone out as, like, with... What's the word I'm looking for? In conjunction with their character, I guess. Because Finrod was a proper dude. Like, super loyal. And of course, he went out, like, tortured to death and still not giving way to his bud. So, and then Fingolfin, it's just like, he was such a calm, cool, collected leader, being like, okay, no, let's think before we do anything. And then out of just pure anger, he challenges Morgoth, because he's just like, I am so pissed off. Like, I'm just
I love
when he got that toe stabbing.
Really
got that toe stabbing. I will give you a limp for the rest of your life.
I love those.
Yeah.
those
And like that
artist
scar across the
renditions of
face.
like
It's great.
giant Morgoth and like a teeny tiny little guy and like his little his little glowing armor. It's like, I can do it. I love that they depict it that way. It's probably the proportions are way wrong, but I'm like, I love that. He's like, I can do it, and it's like a tiny
Who
little
knows?
like.
Have you ever?
But yeah,
Oh,
Or it's just like with the renditions
yes.
of Ed and Geo going against Ancalagon, and it's just like this giant dragon and like this tiny little light.
I
I always
love
picture them
those.
like
They
he
make me
Prince
laugh.
Eric to Ursula, but
yeah.
have you ever heard that song? I forgot what it's who sang it, but it's very like I don't know how else to explain it, but it's supposed to be like the rap battle between Finrod and Sauron. I always get it stuck in my head, but I freaking where it's like, who are you? And it's in this like crazy like middle voice, and then you have this like very like, I am the one, like, and he just is like, they have this like back and forth with each other. It's like one of my favorite songs ever. I would have known
that's how
there was
it
a freaking
down,
rap
right?
battle in the Silmarillion.
That's how it went down. I was there. I saw it. That's how it happened. Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Hopefully we're not jumping around too much with questions, but one of my favorites that I would love to know is, like we said before, you are kind of a bigger name in the online community of the fandom of Tolkien, and just kind of bringing it back into light of like, this is a wonderful world story, all the works that he's done. And first of all, thank you for first of all being a woman in this fandom that is very knowledgeable. That's very it helps.
Yes, queen.
But also, like, I am a frequent, I do a lot of Comic-Cons, and the lack of Tolkien things at Comic-Con is so sad to me. It's so sad. So it's nice to see, like, on platforms like TikTok and newer things like that, to have more people like you coming in and talking about, like, Tolkien and just, like, bringing it back into light in a way that like we're bringing hopefully new generation of people, or maybe not even a new generation of just like people who maybe weren't into it when the movies came out or things like that are coming back into it because there's more of that online presence of people who love Tolkien. Thanks to you. Thank you. Props. Thank you. So in your viral ness about it, has there been a time or something that happened to you something that happened to you that you can attribute to, like, saying that, how do I word it, it's a favorite experience that Tolkien has brought into your life, maybe because of being viral or things like that? What is something that's happened to you that you're like, thank you for my nerdiness has brought this into my life that I love?
Warner Brothers invited me to the premiere of War of the Rohirrim.
That looked amazing.
So that was so fun because like this big company like was just like this girl, and they invited me to the New York City Comic Con, and then they invited me over to London for the premiere, and we got to do so many cool things. And at the end of that trip, we got to go to Hever Castle, and like me and Anne Boleyn, we're like this, and that was the place where she grew up, and I was just like, all because I decided to be a nerd on the internet.
Amazing.
I got to do this. It was amazing, and I got to have a little conversation with Philippa Boyens, and we got to meet Peter Jackson.
That sounds amazing.
And
What?
it was crazy.
Interesting. You like Anne.
Oh my gosh.
Tells a lot about you.
Yeah. That's so cool. I can't even fathom even getting to that level of doing those amazing things. So that's pretty awesome that you got to do those like once in a lifetime things. That's so cool. We were talking to Don the other day, and he was saying that like when he got to do some big things like this, like he couldn't contain his nerdiness. He tried to be cool, but he was like, I can't. And he like became this like huge dork about it. And he's like, I'm like, you know what? I can't blame you. I'd probably do the same thing. I'd probably try to be cool. But then like, you just can't handle it. It's just so exciting. But that's awesome.
It's crazy. Like, and with all the stuff that he has done, it's like it never gets old for him because we were hanging out in London and we just kept looking at each other like, what is life? What are we doing? Like, all because we're little nerds on the internet. Like, we get to do this cool
That's
stuff.
amazing.
What's cool
Like,
is,
what is happening
I was
right
going to say this when Abby was talking about your viral queenship. Like, you know, Abby and I have always been nerds, but not in a time where being a nerd was cool, if that makes any sense. Like, I feel like it's gotten better over the years, but like you and, you know, people like you have just kind of like, you know what? You're among friends and it's okay. Bring out the nerd, bring out like, you know, it's okay. And, you know, kudos for you for like, you know, paving the path, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And like I said before, it's nice to
great.
have
I love it.
someone who's open to talking about it, especially being a female in this kind of fandom. Sometimes there's some people who aren't so fun to talk to about things. And it's just, you're very refreshing to have a fellow person who you're like, yes, I also love it. Let's talk about it together and love it together. And you're like, yes, thank you.
And a mom too.
And yeah, and a mom, nerdy mom. I was telling, or I talked about it on our podcast, that I am a little slower into it because my children I have an 11, a 9-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And so the spanning of like, we read all The Hobbit and we stopped The Hobbit and then watched the movie, read the book, stopped, watched the movie, where it kind of like broke up. And it's hard to like try to get into it while also like my 3-year-old doesn't really enjoy looking at the orcs. And then like my 9-year-old is also like, and then I'm like, okay, I'm trying to like hit all the points of like enjoying it. And I'm also like, don't get scared of it. So I haven't done my motherly nerd duty yet to really get them like solidified, but we're getting in there. I'm getting there. It's hard. So we are going to get into the speed round conspiracy theories. And I feel like your brain is so big that you can crush this. Okay?
Oh, heck yes.
So, Ashley, are you looking at the email that I sent you that has all of them on there?
I am. Yep. Because the first one on the list is my one that I really love talking about, actually, because it makes no sense to me. And I need a better reason. And I need someone else to theorize a better reason, because it makes no sense.
So to not make this go on for another few hours, the speed round conspiracy theory is you've got a quick
Fine.
like few minutes to give your thoughts on this topic that we also are like not confused, but we're just like, let's gather as much information about this because we don't have every answer for it. So we want your input. So in a speed round thing, okay, Ashley, she's got the first question.
Okay. If I say the Stone of Erech, what are your thoughts? Because I I freaking do not understand this freaking huge boulder that they had to bring from Numenor and just like, we're just going to put it here. Like, I can't imagine the guys that like were told we have to do what now? Why? Why would we do that? Like, thoughts.
I think it was kind of not really treated like one of the Palantir, but also treated like one of the Palantir, where they had to bring it. It was one of the heirlooms that they brought over, and it was obviously so important that they, made an oath on it. Uh, but yeah, I think it was. I really don't know. I think it's just one of those things where Tolkien took inspiration from
The Stone of
what's that
Schoon?
stone called? The stone that
Schoon?
goes under the coronation chair for that that I think it was just like pulling inspiration from that almost.
That
My
one,
theory
when we were
is
doing
that-
that part in the
Like,
Silmarillion, and I was like, but why?
My theory is that he wrote it on
Abby.
a napkin. He's like, I'm going to add it in. And then one of his kids used the napkin and he's like, where did that? Yep. You know what? Never mind. Never mind. That's all we're getting. That's all we're getting out of that one. Okay. Good answer. Good answer. Next.
Yeah.
Where are those blue wizards, those darn blue wizards, and what are they up to? Go.
Oh, well, I mean, I obviously think they went south, like it was said, and then just didn't return. Uh, I think that they probably got into some, like, I don't want to say, but like they probably got too concerned with the things that the men were doing, and in a way probably did aid in the Haradrim going and enlisting in Sauron's defenses, because it is said that Gandalf is the only one that stayed true to his path as to why this is the Istari were sent over to Middle Earth. So
Yeah.
they didn't get up to any good. I can't imagine they were just doing wizard things
Right.
in the desert like Radagast is doing in the forest.
It's
darn blue
giving like when
Such a mystery, though.
I mean, not to compare them because one, they're very different, but that kind of vibe of like when Obi-Wan Kenobi leaves and he's like becomes a hermit in the desert. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. They're like, that crazy old guy, that crazy old blue wizard in the desert. We don't know anything about him. Okay.
Ben?
Next. Oh, Ben the Blue Wizard? I haven't seen him forever. Next. Why is Huan the goodest boy?
Oh, because he was a gift from Orome. He's a Hound of Valinor. So he's literally a god dog.
The
And then he
worst.
was given to Celegorm, and Celegorm was not the best. But then he gave him, Huan went and started, you know, I don't want to say started living with a better owner, because he was technically still Celegorm's whenever he just like, kind of skedaddled and started following Luthien. But he made the right choice. That is why he's the goodest boy, is because he looked at Celegorm
I'm going to go with
and
the
then
pretty
looked at
lady
Luthien
over
and was
there.
like, I'm going to go this way. We're going
Yeah.
this way. Like, I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm going this way because you decided to be weird about this pretty lady.
She
So
gives
I'm
vibes
better
are
gonna
tummy
off,
go,
rubs.
man.
and you do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, the vibes were weird. I'm going to go with this lady.
Exactly. Dogs can
I
always
want
tell
more
about
Arome.
person.
Like, why is there only one Huon? Like, there's only one creature that has that awesomeness. I mean, granted, he's like, I can't do better than Huon. Huon's a freaking amazing. But like, it's funny that, he is a gift from the Valar. Had to have been more than one cool. Like, what other cool Arome or Huons did we not get to meet? I wish we could have.
Oh, absolutely.
That's all I'm saying.
Probably
Yes.
just a whole bunch of like another litter of Huons in Valinor. And they're probably just like, what happened to Huon? And they're like, oh, he was given to that
They
one
didn't
guy in Middle
do the
Earth.
right adoption
Freaking
process where they have to really do a background check on the new owner. They didn't get that very far, and so he didn't get like. Ugh.
Exactly.
Okay, next.
My paperwork's important.
Where
Hmm.
are the Entwives? Where'd they go? Where are those Entwives? What's your theory? Conspiracy theory, go.
We lost them.
Do you it's I don't think it's a conspiracy theory.
The
Do you know
Brownlands.
where the
gotten there yet?
Brownlands are on the
No.
map? Do you know why they're yeah.
Oh, she's knowledgeable. She knows more.
hang
She knows
on,
more than us, Ashley.
Do I have
She's
I'm
pulling
not
out
surprised by this.
She's pulling out ancient scrolls.
No, I have these maps on my floor. I have maps on my floor. Hang on.
Ashley, we should get maps of Middle Earth on like old timey
I don't
scrolls
have my
in
Middle
our
Earth map over here.
libraries. Like we have to pull them out, open them like this.
Done.
That's a good idea. But there's this area in Middle Earth called the Brownlands, and the reason that they're the Brownlands is because Sauron burnt all of it. All of it was on fire, and nothing has ever grown there since. And that it's theorized that that's where the Entwives went. And so the reason we can't find
Wait,
them
so
anymore
they
is
were
because
there
they're
before they
they're
became
just-
it became
they're just
brown,
ash
or
now.
after it became brown?
before, and then the burning of them
No,
made
I'm not
them the
okay.
Brownlands.
Too sad.
I'm not okay with that. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Too sad. Too sad. Hold on.
Too
we have-
sad.
Go out there. Sorry, I have a tiny person. No,
Oh.
go out there. Get your glasses.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how annoying is Turin, or as we call him on our podcast, Turden?
Oh. So I don't know if you know who Belmont is. He's another Tolkien creator. He has helped me really have some empathy for Tootin. So I'd say he's a 5, a solid 5 on annoyance. Because I understand why he is the way he is. But he can make the
100%.
conscious decision to not be the way he
We blame it on his
because that's one
undeveloped
thing
frontal
we've learned,
cortex of being a teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing we've discovered with doing, because we're at the Children of Hurin section now in the Unfinished Tales, and it is very different than the Silmarillion version of the Children of Hurin. And he is just like, before he was like, oh, maybe he's misunderstood, or maybe, but then in the Unfinished Tales, he blatantly makes wrong decisions. So I'm curious, what was his selling point to you to get you to have more empathy? Because we're not there yet. We just find him annoying.
So the one that I go off of is in the Unfinished Tales. Kind of the explanation of
The
his
sister?
backstory of like I forget what it is now. Not so much the sister.
Oh, no.
The sister is the thing that
I meant
weirds
La
me the
Life.
hell out.
La
I
Life,
can't
not
think of-
Nienor.
I can't
La
think
Life.
of that part. Because
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
okay.
We're gonna have. That's one of the questions I have for Tolkien.
talk about that.
Why did you do that? Yeah, we're not gonna talk about that though. I thought you were referring to that
Yeah.
backstory, the La Life thing.
See, like that. Now that I'm having to think about it, I can't think of like the list of what I have,
Okay.
but I know that I have one. I just can't think of it
We
right
put you on
now.
the spot. I'm sorry.
Completely
We just
blanking
know
on
you
it.
have a solid 5 appreciation. So you're 50-50. You're like, I get it. You had a rough childhood. You had a rough growing up. But also, you could choose not to be a jerk that makes bad decisions sometimes. That's up to you, bud. That's why I tell my kids all the time. Your attitude is your choice. You can change it. You don't have to stay that way. The mother in me is like,
Yeah.
yes.
Like, it's okay to feel the way you're feeling, but it's
a
not
mom
responsible how
I
you act
get
on
very
it.
motherly to some of the characters where I'm like, somebody needed some more parental guidance. Like they just didn't get it. We're like, come
Someone needed more
on. They
hugs.
needed, or my thing is that they needed more hugs growing up. I'm like, they just needed someone to love them and to give them some physical love and attention so they could be okay later on. But no, the Silmarillion is full of parents that leave their
That's
kids.
literally Feanor. Literally Feanor.
We have a
Yes.
whole thing about Arendil being the worst husband ever because like he gets all the fame for like, you know, going to the Valar and, you know, killing in Calagon, but like, can you imagine him as a husband or a father? He was like the worst. Like, oh, I love you, but you know what? That sea, it's so much prettier than you, so I'm gonna go do that instead. Bye. Like,
Bye.
I just like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elwing was a
That
real
was
ride or
her
die.
man.
Like she,
That was her man.
what?
It's like
She had
that
to do
Dr. Phil thing where it's like, take a look at the screen. Is that your man? That's my man. That's my man right there. That was very much her. Next speed round. How unfair was Beleg's death? Got thoughts?
very unfair. Very unfair. I think his death is probably one of the most unfair because it's like you're doing all you can for your boy. And then understandably, he's like, you know, absolutely delusional, but still you stab your best friend. Like,
Ugh.
come on, man. That's just
Can you imagine
Beleg
the
deserved
look of like
so much
confusion
more.
in Beleg's eyes? Like, what's happening? Like, what?
The look of betrayal.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
I'm not sure. We talked about it on our podcast, but I found this Instagram meme a while ago about someone writing over the text in the book when Hedwig dies in Harry Potter. And it's like, and she got up and flew away and came back, you know, when all this crap was over with or something like that. Like it, you know, so like an alternative ending. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to do that for Beleg. And I came up with one with the help of some robots and Beleg actually he got stabbed, but he like fell off a cliff and then, you know, he kind of Aragorned and went down the stream and then he got separated and then like, it just like went off. I'm like, because he deserves so much better. He wasn't supposed to die.
Yes. He did.
He deserved a hero's death.
Okay.
And then the last one, Ashley. The last speed conspiracy.
Okay, and this is one of those that like I feel like there's evidence, but it's still also a dispute. Who came first? The Ents, the dwarves, or Tom Bombadil? Right?
All right.
Tom Bombadil. Because he said he was there before there were stars in the sky, meaning that he was there before the elves awoke, and the elves and the Ents awoke
But
at the same
technically the
time.
dwarves were made first then.
So no, the dwarves were made last because Eru made the elves and the men, and then like, you know, put them to sleep, put them in Middle Earth or whatever, and then Aule made the dwarves.
That part,
And
though.
they were technically awake first, but they weren't.
But the awaking part, I'm like, I feel like it almost counted.
They didn't have like their own self-thought. They were literal robots. No, because
Okay.
they didn't have free
That's
will.
fair.
Only Eru could give that, if that makes sense. So then Eru took them and then put them to sleep. And then the elves were awoken first, and then men, and then the dwarves. But the Ents and the elves woke up
Okay.
at the same time. But Tom was always
Right.
there. Like before the sun and the moon, before the stars, he was always there. He was there when Middle Earth was
Right.
dark, meaning there was probably
Yeah.
only
Okay.
light in Valinor.
I like that argument though, that the arrow
That's my thought.
hadn't given them lives. I like that argument. I like that. See, I'm very logical. I can be like in the fantasy universe, but I feel like you still have to obey the rules, if that makes any sense. Like you can make the rules, but I just want you to obey the rules. So I like that rule. I like it. I could go by that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's
I
the
like it.
end of our speed round conspiracy theories. Thank you for doing that. That helped solve some mysteries for us. And when we're going to interview some other people, maybe they have different conspiracy theory ideas. So we're getting all the info we can. So as our last question, yes. Our last question that we are asking all of our guests is, if you could maybe sit on a park bench with Mr. Tolkien for about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, what would you tell him or ask him or things like that? What would you say to him if you got that precious few minutes with him on a lovely park on a park bench?
I would probably ask him if Sauron could be redeemed the way that Ossé was. Because the way, Ossé almost fell to Morgoth too, but then he had Ewinin, and Ewinin was just like, stop, stop. And then she went to Manwë, all that stuff, convinced him to not do the bad stuff. But it said that even though he was still like restless and angry, he never went to the evil side. I want to know if that would be possible for Sauron, because after Morgoth's defeat, he had the chance to go and beg for forgiveness. And had he had a Ewinin, would he have? Like, could he have been
I like
convinced
that. So
of
that could have been
Interesting.
Galadriel, is what you're saying.
So I want to know.
Well, oh, obviously. Yeah. Yeah.
It could have been me.
Me. Put me in,
Forgot that
coach.
part. I'm sorry.
I can do it.
Yeah.
I volunteer as tribute.
I'll take one for the team.
I can do it. I
I
can
love
fix
that.
him.
I love that. I love that art. Have you seen that artwork of I don't know, everyone has like a different pronunciation of, I call her Unan in my brain because I can't say it how you say it. But it's like Osei is like, tossing the waves, and then like she just grabs his face and kisses him, and all of a sudden like everything calms. That's like one of my favorite. It's like a little cartoonish thing, but I'm like, that's so perfect though. Like, because I feel like there's some guys that just need the girl to like calm it down.
Precious.
Like, you just need that partner in your life that's like,
yeah,
calm down.
Oh,
well, that's
precious.
an interesting answer. We asked this of everyone, and everyone's will be different, and that one was awesome. So as we are concluding this episode, do you have anything else that like maybe you want to promote, or your Instagram handle, or TikTok, or things like that you would like to talk about before we sign off?
Well, I mean, I'm obviously on TikTok as the Kaia Kay S, and then I'm on Instagram as Kaia Kay with 2 Y's, so it's like Kayy. And then I just started a Substack,
Nice.
so that's something. And I don't want to say it's like a read along type thing. It's like an unofficial read along where I'm currently going through the Fellowship of the Ring and writing down all the unhinged thoughts or just the ADHD rambles that I would normally do either in annotating my books or in the notes app, but I'm sharing them with everyone. So I'm kind of hoping that that'll be like a good like a non-intimidating for people to start reading the books and like, chapter by chapter sharing their thoughts with me on the weird that's going on in
That's
my head.
awesome.
So there's
We'll
that.
have to check that out, of course.
Yeah.
So like she said, please go check her out on TikTok and Instagram. And she has some fun videos for everyone that they're just like little tidbits of knowledge that's fun to like, maybe if you remember them, then you can impress your friends if you guys watched Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit together. You could sound like the cool, knowledgeable person, and you can thank Kaia for that info. Well, we loved having you with us today. It was so fun. We love to nerd out. If you ever want to come back and nerd out with us, we'd love to have you. We do not reviews, kind of like we call it a fun book club. So it's like we talk about a chapter of a different work of Tolkien. And if you ever want to come on and talk about a chapter with us and kind of delve deeper, because you have the knowledge, we would love to have you again. We also have a Patreon. If you guys, you listeners out there, would love to support our Patreon at Sisters of the Shire. Sisters of the Shire Podcast, sorry. Thank you to all our listeners out there. And a thank you to Kaia for being with us today. We loved having you.
So much, Kaia.
We are so happy that you are in this fandom with us and that you are a shining light of like unfathomable knowledge. Your brain is crazy, girl. I cannot do that. Like, I don't know how you store it all in there. My kids each took a chunk of my brain and memory, so I'm rattling around with not a lot left. So thank you. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us. It's been wonderful. Of course. You can come back anytime.
Thank you for having me.
So as we say
Anytime.
in the end of our episodes, I always say, thank you for teaching me today. Thank you. It was great. You gave me more knowledge.
Thank you.
You taught me things I've never even heard of before. Crazy. I still think we should make those Maiar gym shirts of their UFC fight gym, of those two Maiar that you were talking about.
That's genius.
Well, Abby is the artist between us, so I'm the idea person. Abby, make it happen.
Yeah, do it.
I will get the
we just need
then Abby will make it happen. Okay.
Anyway.
Fight or die.
Well, yes. We're going to sign off by saying our name. So, I've been Abby.
I've been Ashley.
Or Kaia. Go for it, Kaia. And we have been the Sisters of the Shire, and we're adopting Kaia into our sisterhood today. So we're so grateful that you joined us today on our podcast, and we hope that you can join us next time. Thank you, and goodbye. Bye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Thank you for teaching me a day.
Yay!